They tried to accuse him of all the deadly sins.
Marilyn Manson can walk into our town and promote hate, violence, suicide, death, drug use, and Columbine-like behavior. I can say, not without a fight you can't.
His image raises questions to this day.
You make up every day? Or do you ever go around just without the makeup, just like get on a plane, no one knows who you are?
His name is associated with Satanism, violence, and vulgarity.
I mean, they tell me that you engaged in a sex act with another man in a stage in Miami. Is that true?
But is he really so terrible? In this video, we will talk about the life and creative path of Marilyn Manson. We will focus on the biography and analyze how each stage affected the formation of terrible and evil Marilyn Manson, a man who risked his life for the sake of his beliefs. And since evil is associated with black, let's make the subscription button white and restore the balance of power in the world. Push the button and let's go. Marilyn Manson was born on January 5th in 1969, given the name Brian Hugh Warner. His place of birth is the United States of America in Canton, Ohio. He was born in the family of a furniture salesman and a nurse. Little Brian was growing up a modest, kind, and peaceful person, as his parents extremely welcomed religious education. The childhood of the shock rocker was full of events far from the most pleasant. One day, a burglar broke into the Warner house. Brian was only 9 years old at the time. The criminal tried to smother the child with a pillow, and it is not known how it would have ended if the boy's father had not arrived in time. Memories of that terrible night still keep Manson awake at night. He sleeps with a TV turned on and also keeps a gun under the pillow just in case. The head of the family, Hugh Warner, was a Catholic and Mother Barbara was a Protestant. Of course, they wholeheartedly wanted their son also to find God, although Manson himself would later say the following: "My parents weren't very religious. They told me they wanted me to go to a Christian school just for the sake of getting a better education." Whatever it was, at that time, Brian went to the Heritage Christian School. For the first few years, his studies went smoothly. There, teachers tried to demonstrate for the future infamous rocker and other children music that they should not listen to. In the case of Brian Warner, the effect was reversed. He fell in love with forbidden tunes. Doubts about religion appeared a little later, when the future master of shocking began to ask questions about inconsistencies in the scriptures. But he did not receive reasoned answers from the staff of the educational institution. Manson created a magazine at a Christian school to make life and learning less boring. He called his creation Stupid. Soon he discovered the true human essence. He repeatedly became a victim of other students, who were clearly taught to love thy neighbor. I was very often beaten by my classmates. They said I looked like a gay. If a person is a piece of shit, then no religion will help him. Here's the lesson you need to understand. He went to a religious school for several years, watching how children were instilled a notional peacefulness every day and still faced unreasonable aggression to his side. Conclusions were drawn. Brian went on to study religion and its influence on the human mind, but for his own personal interests. The whole school became a guinea pig for him. It is impossible not to notice it when you equate yourself with his creative work. If you, the parents, are ashamed of your children, then you are to blame for this. In the end, our main character is tired of everything. The picture of the world has formed. It was time to say goodbye, slamming the door. I was expelled for putting my grandfather's dildo in the Bible teacher's desk. By the way, Jack Warner, the grandfather of the future artist, played an important role in the creation of Manson. Even in Manson's book, The Long Hard Road Out of Hell, the story begins with a description of his conservative grandfather's cellar, bent on all sorts of perversions. It should also be noted that the book is just incredibly interesting, but in many ways, unfortunately, exaggerated. Hell to me was my grandfather's cellar. It stank like a public toilet and was just as filthy. A small shelf lined with paint cans was behind the stairs, which I later discovered contained pornographic material. I started to spy on him. Once, his pants were half down and one of the magazines was lying on his lap. He was breathing heavily and moving his right hand up and down quickly. We knew what he was doing and we wanted to run right now, but we were cornered behind the stairs and couldn't take a step. It is necessary to clarify. It's not about the child who discovered the process of masturbation completely unexpectedly. It's just his whole world, made of illusions, began to fall apart. And it was at that moment when a musician just began to find a semblance of himself. Let's put it all together. His grandfather was a real pervert in righteous clothing. The righteous classmates turned out to be typical bullies. In the future, Manson would ask a question to his parents. Why was I sent to a Christian school? And that is understandable. Despite all the ambiguity, religion can be a salvation for a person. But this is the kind of thing that you probably need to come to consciously. Unless, of course, you want to be a true believer and not a false one. Apparently, Marilyn took the parental decision with hostility because he hadn't had the opportunity to choose. Those kids, they were all like one fucking zombie. They hadn't personality.
Trying to get across in the lyrics to these songs.
It's always about being yourself and not being ashamed of being different or thinking different. I try and take everyone's ideals, common morals, flip them around, make people look at them differently, question them so that you're not always taking things for granted.
All right.
He made up a key conclusion. Only angels can remain sinless, but there are no sinless people. Therefore, it is the sin that makes human beings human. The devil doesn't exist. Satanism is about worshiping yourself because you are responsible for your own good and evil. Christianity's war against the devil has always been a fight against man's most natural instincts, for sex, for violence, for self-gratification, and a denial of man's membership in the animal kingdom. After he dropped out from the Christian school, Brian moved to a public one, although it was already in Florida. He graduated in 1987. He was a complicated kid, but bright. He had a sharp mind. It was not difficult for him to get a job in the local media as a music critic. There, he wrote articles, interviewed stars, and did other assignments, combining the positions of reporter, journalist, and critic. In the same year, the artist met the actor and later his friend Johnny Depp. Marilyn interviewed him for the newspaper. Later, he would say this meeting radically changed his life for the better. They remain best friends to this day, supporting each other. Depp performed at Marilyn's concert and starred in his music videos. Once, he even gave Marilyn a house when the musician bought his own. What caused such a generous gift was unknown, but the artist boasted that he had 2 houses, which was quite good. Manson also gave Depp peculiar gifts. For example, he gifted him a breast prosthesis, in which he was photographed for the cover of his 3rd album. In recognition of their bosom friendship, Depp asked Manson to be the godfather of his daughter Lily Rose. They liked to play tricks on each other. For example, Johnny forgave his friend for a prank on the Walk of Fame when Marilyn tried to urinate on the Johnny Depp star. By the way, Johnny himself is also a rebel and a rocker who likes to bet with everyone. So we decided to bet you that you will not be able to make 1,000 likes under this video. But if you can handle it, we will release a very detailed biography of Johnny on our channel. You just need to like the video. It's very simple. It all depends on you. Let's move on. The more you delve into a particular area, the more you notice its shortcomings. It's all fake. Fake faces, fake smiles, fake words. A strong desire appeared to speak out in Marilyn's mind. He had already formed his opinion. He could write poetry. He understood the musical sphere. Skills would come with experience. Those who follow his career know that Marilyn, even in his best years, did not always perfectly cope with the technical component of performance. Due to the periodic failure to hit the notes and bad pronunciation of words, music publishing houses did not hold back, throwing accusations like, he would not have achieved anything if it were not for the debauchery at concerts. But the truth is that the concert show program is only a small part of the global idea. Now, first things first. In 1989, Brian Hugh Warner became Marilyn Manson. Everyone has long known that the pseudonym is a combination between 2 other great names. It is the embodiment of the female ideal, Marilyn Monroe.
I wanna be loved by you, the deedly 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 dum, poof
and the terrifying Charles Manson, the founder of the sect, whose adherents killed everyone and everything on his orders. The artist explained that by the desire to maintain a balance, the status quo. He took part of the pseudonym from Marilyn, whom the world adored. The other part was taken from Charles, whom the world hated.
I'm nobody.
It would seem that everything is so simple. Not really. This is only at first glance.
Celebrity, isn't it?
Well, it was a commentary on the creation of celebrity. And so then it does sort of wrap itself into a snake eating its own tail in a way. That you put them on the same level. Marilyn Monroe on the cover of Life magazine, Charles Manson on the cover of Life magazine. I think that has not changed at all in American culture.
The idea of names does not seem so straightforward and looks negative towards the media. The gist is that people need sensations, and it doesn't matter whether it's a screen star or a maniac. The main thing is to have a loud headline. Charles Manson, at a certain point, became the most popular person in America. But that's not all. Marilyn constantly says, art is a big question mark. Let's try to find an answer. The theory is based on the performer's hate of the cult of the dead. While working as a music critic, he often had to compare new artists with those who had long been dead. You know that to this day, people try to compare young stars with the Beatles and others. It is enough to die with the necessary number of views to become a star. This, by the way, is one of the main rules of Hollywood. Manson used the name Marilyn as the embodiment of Hollywood, but not like the antipode of the world of a maniac psychopath. He used it rather as a different form of the same. It was a different form of obsession. From time to time, the problem of the blind cult is raised. Fans of Charles followed him, persecuting other people's ideas. Fans of world-famous actors and singers often do not realize why their idols have such greatness. The theme of individuality is the core of Marilyn's work. Why do you try to be like me when you can be like you? When you have friends, you make a band. When you're single, you write something. I stayed at home alone and expressed my most sophisticated fantasies in poems, short stories, and novellas, and sent them wherever I could. By the way, the other members of the band took on pseudonyms on the same principle as the frontman. The name was taken from some iconic beauty, and the last name was taken from a serial killer. The first group membership was called Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. The guys were immediately noticed by Trent Reznor, the creator of another, more famous rock band playing in the genre of industrial, Nine Inch Nails. At first, Manson and his team were their opening band. In 1994, Trent offered the guys a contract with Nothing Records and also allowed them to open the Nine Inch Nails show. All this contributed to a serious increase in the popularity of the Marilyn Manson band. The young group took full advantage of Reznor's kindness. The guys started to shock the public very quickly. For example, the frontman was awarded the title of Reverend by the Church of Satanists when he tore up a copy of the Book of Mormon on stage during a show in Salt Lake City, Utah. The young team quite quickly got a devoted fan base. People are divided into two types. One likes me, and the other is stupid. Towards the end of this video, the quote will play out in fresh colors. On stage, Manson tried to put on real shows, based on the debauchery and cruelty inherent in our world. Shock rock is a general term for artists who combine rock music or heavy metal with live performances that emphasize shock value. Performances may include aggressive or provocative behavior by artists, attention-grabbing costumes, masks, face paint, or special effects, and fake blood. The pioneer of that direction was Jay Hawkins, nicknamed Screamin'.
I don't care if you don't want me, I'm you.
Alice Cooper was his follower. He raised stage dissoluteness to a new level. His hallmark was singing with a snake around his neck. The rock band quickly became popular thanks to their signature vocals, unique guitar sound, as well as performances with elements of show and theater. There were no restrictions for the singer and his associates in terms of stage images and props. There were women's clothing, bright makeup, tights, an oppressive atmosphere, and an intimidating entourage. The image was created, the fan base was found, concerts were discussed. But Marilyn was going to prove to the world that he was spreading a message within the society, much deeper than the banal provocation. Music is the strongest form of magic. The debut album was titled Portrait of an American Family, although initially the working title sounded like the Manson Family album. That was a reference to the sect of Charles Manson, who called his followers the Family. Why did Marilyn decide to change the title? Was he afraid of potential problems with bands and sales? Perhaps. But most likely, the rocker wanted to demonstrate the full scale of the problems he identified by changing the title from the album of one family to a portrait of an entire nation. The album was released in 1994 and was an undoubted success, raising on the current problems of American families. According to the results of sales, over 500,000 copies, the disc became gold. But with his release, in addition to the army of fans, the shocking rocker also had a huge number of critics, represented by the church and the authorities. In 1995, the rock band had their debut national tour. Soon, they released a cover song of the version Sweet Dreams by the British duo Eurythmics. It became their first unqualified hit and received platinum status after sales of over 1 million copies. In 1996, a new album, Antichrist Superstar, was released. It was the first album of the Future Triptych, which also included Mechanical Animals and Hollywood, which were released in 1998 and 2000 respectively. All three works are connected. In order to get the closest version to Manson's idea, you need to listen to the albums in reverse order, starting with the third one. You can listen to them in chronological order, but then the story will play out in other colors. Having carefully analyzed the three albums that form the triptych, it can be seen there that Manson scattered various references to his main inspiration, Nietzsche. In his songs, Manson makes the ordinary world a place of fantastic action, where people, clouded by false values, including pseudo-religious ones, acquire a paradoxical image of machines. Following his worldview principles, Manson sharply criticizes religious cults, but not religion in general. In 1997, Rolling Stone magazine put a photo of the authentic artist on the cover and named him the Best New Musician of the Year. The video for the single The Dope Show was awarded a Grammy nomination. Experts called the song Great Big White World a classic example of the rocker's immersion in terrible drug dreams and proof of his ability not only to demonstrate the hell on earth, which people themselves have created, but also to carry off them into the hell of his own fantasies. After a short promotional campaign, the band went on the Beautiful Monsters tour with Hole. However, the tour was very problematic, particularly due to conflicts between Manson and Hole vocalist Courtney Love. Frequent disputes arose over the tour's finances, as Hole unwittingly reimbursed most of Manson's expenses, which were disproportionately high compared to those on Hole's part.
We have to split this thing 50-50, so every time that Brian wants a new light, he gets a new light. And every time he wants 9 more kabuki screens, he gets 9 more kabuki screens. And every time he wants a Canon, we have to pay for the Canon. And it's sort of out of control. It's like this raging production that we're paying for, and we have a little bit of glitter.
The tour was to include 37 shows over a 2-month period, although Hole participated only on 9 scheduled dates. Manson's broken ankle also led to the delay of the next 2 shows, and the remainder of the tour was renamed Rock is Dead. Marilyn Manson records vocals along with guitar. That is why his a cappella is accompanied by many extraneous sounds. Marilyn Manson, I Don't Need a Sterile Sound.
After Columbine, it seemed that the entire focus on why the shootings occurred was because the killers listened to Marilyn Manson.
After Columbine, everything seems focused on the fact that the killers listened to Marilyn Manson's songs.
I was in Chicago, in a hotel room, just going, I know I'm going to get blamed for this.
No matter how well-intentioned he was, his parents, activists, and public figures were looking forward to the opportunity to break his career. The opportunity appeared. On April 20th, 1999, while Marilyn was in the process of creating his magnum opus, the very incident happened. Two students, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, staged an armed attack on the Columbine school. Without hesitation, people made him a scapegoat.
This is perhaps the sickest group ever promoted by a mainstream record company.
I definitely can see why they would pick me, because I think it's easy to throw my face on a TV, because I'm, in the end, sort of a poster boy for fear. Because I represent what everyone's afraid of, because I do and say what I want.
An allegedly found tape with his songs was a base for charge, and it all started with the words, "Teenagers dressed up like Marilyn Manson."
I watched it live on TV, and I was watching it live, and they said there were 5 boys dressed in Marilyn Manson costumes. And then it was 3, and then it was 2. But I was watching it live. I remember the day. It was in Chicago.
His concerts were canceled. He lost his earnings, but in the end, he was left alone. A variety of religious and conservative groups and organizations took the musician seriously over time. Out of harm's way, he canceled the tour of his band, Rock is Dead. The American Family Association and Empower America were among the organizations leading the protests against Manson and his group. There were many attempts to ban Marilyn Manson concerts in numerous cities across the country, but only occasionally they were successful. I think I took the right position, the absence of my comments about what happened. I did not want to add fuel to the fire. First, Manson showed the whole country how easily he can put himself in the shoes of a teenager with just one sentence of an answer to a question.
If you were to talk directly to the kids at Columbine or the people in that community, what would you say to them if they were here right now?
I wouldn't say a single word to them. I would listen to what they have to say, and that's what no one did.
Secondly, he allowed everyone to speak out, although he could justify himself on one TV channel, then on another. So the most interesting part is personality. Marilyn does not respect everyone, but his philosophy is based on the fact that everyone has the right to make their own choice. He chose the path of a bold, outrageous wit, with faith in himself and his cause. People chose to shift all the responsibility from the boy's parents to him. Everybody is responsible for their own actions. Instead of starting to cry, "Yes, this is just an image. You got it all wrong," Manson remained true to his philosophy, and he never evaded an answer.
I think it's my job as an artist to be out there pushing people's buttons and making them question everything. And I respect you for challenging me, and that's why I came on the show.
I don't give a fuck about the critics. They get everything for free. My critics are my fans. In all the interviews, absolutely in all that we could find, Marilyn always behaved respectfully towards the interlocutors, listening to the attacks towards him and providing reasoned arguments in response. He became a kind of prime example, demonstrating everything that he had to deal with as evil that can seem good and vice versa. What we talked about in the beginning, he has more faith than the alleged believers put together. At least the existence of Christianity allowed him to be himself. It allowed him to become an artist. Marilyn calls on people not to turn their back from religion. He calls on them to understand it. Among the works of Marilyn and the band members is also the creation of soundtracks for films. In 2001, a cover version of the song Tainted Love was recorded for the film Not Another Teen Movie. Later, the band recorded the track Seizure of Power for the Resident Evil franchise. The fifth album of the Rockers, The Golden Age of Grotesque, which was released in May of 2003, was also successful. Manson found inspiration when creating it in a burlesque show with the participation of then-official girlfriend Dita Von Teese. The album was #1 on the Billboard 200. In June of the same year, the musicians took part in Ozzfest, founded by British singer Ozzy Osbourne and his wife Sharon. Also, during this period, Manson began his long-term collaboration with Gottfried Helnwein. They worked together on several media projects related to the album, exhibitions, and installations, which were presented at the album's release party at the Key Club in Los Angeles. Graphics for the album's work, the music video for the album's lead single, the song Mob Scene, and graphics for Manson's performance in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just a year later, the band released the album Lest We Forget, The Best Of, which contained rock hits created from 1994 to 2004. Among other singles, fans remembered the cover version of the song Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode. By the end of 2005, the band had written 18 new songs, but work on their sixth studio album was halted when Manson focused on various film and art projects. For example, he launched a self-proclaimed art movement, Celebritarian Corporation, and then an art gallery. By the way, Manson paints pictures and has done several exhibitions with them. The following albums, Eat Me, Drink Me, The High End of Low, and Born Villain, did not have the same resounding success, although they regularly hit the music charts. The song Putting Holes in Happiness from the album Eat Me, Drink Me is still considered one of the most subtle, deep, and appreciated works of Manson. His engagement to Evan Rachel Wood, and as very ruthless, heavy, and violent. On Christmas Day, he tried to contact her 158 times to no avail. After each attempt, he injured himself. A music video for Running to the Edge of the World was later released. In it, the singer beat to death the character, a copy of his ex-girlfriend. The video received widespread condemnation for allegedly the rock singer's praise of violence against women. The album's songs were presented in the order in which they were written. 3 years later, Born Villain was the first album released under Marilyn Manson's personal label, Hell, Etc. It in many ways resembled the label Nothing Records, under which the band's records were released for the first 10 years. Manson himself, comparing the album to its predecessors, described it as more romantic but self-deprecating lyrics accompanied by elements of suicide death metal. One of the most memorable album tracks was the single No Reflection. It peaked at number 26 on the mainstream rock chart for 14 weeks. It was the best result since the 2004 single Personal Jesus. In 2012, Manson continued his creative collaboration with Johnny Depp. They held joint jam sessions, and at some concerts, Johnny appeared as a guitar player during the performance of the songs Sweet Dreams and The Beautiful People. At the same time, Marilyn Manson performed with the German band Rammstein at the Echo Music Prize ceremony in Germany. The singer performed the song The Beautiful People together with vocalist Till Lindemann. The collaborations did not end there. In 2013, during Alice Cooper's Masters of Mayhem tour, the rocker sang I'm 18 as a duet with him, and as part of Eminem's big concert in Barcelona, he performed with the rapper the song The Way I Am. In addition, he recorded a joint track, Fancy Bitch, with rap artist Gucci Mane. Gucci was thrilled with the collaboration, saying that Manson was cool. In 2014, the band released the album The Pale Emperor Online. Blues notes were added to the usual motives. The creation of this image of the musician was inspired by a book about Heliogabalus, a cruel Roman ruler. Johnny Depp gifted him this book for the 16-year anniversary of their friendship. The frontman dedicated the record to the memory of his mother, who died in 2014. The album peaked at number 8 on the Billboard 200, but many publications called it the best album of the band in the last 10 years. One of the tracks from the new album Cupid Carries a Gun was used as the opening theme for the TV series Salem, which premiered on American television on April 27th. In October, the track Killing Strangers was partially featured in the film John Wick. On July 7, 2017, his father died. Manson never found God, but you'll agree that the man who found the devil will not say such words.
Be so brash to ask if we believe that all who hear Manson tomorrow night will go out and commit violent acts. The answer is no. But does everybody who watches a Lexus ad go and buy a Lexus? No. But a few do.
In 2017, the discography of the rock star was replenished with the studio album Heaven Upside Down. The album was recorded with Tyler Bates. At the same time, the artists worked on the music for the American television series Salem. On September 11, 2020, the band officially released their 11th studio album, We Are Chaos. The album was recorded in January. Manson is an interesting figure in show business, and many famous directors do not hesitate to invite the rocker as an actor or just play a cameo. The biggest role went to Marilyn Manson in the tragic comedy Party Monster, based on a true story. There, an outrageous celebrity played the role of the travesti diva Christina. Manson also did not avoid the TV series. He also appeared in several episodes of Sons of Anarchy, Once Upon a Time, The New Pope, and Californication, of which he is a fan. In the summer of 2020, the premiere of the superhero film of the 20th Century Fox film studio The New Mutants took place. There, Manson voiced a villain named the Smiling Man. Manson's personal life is no less interesting. He had a relationship with an American actress of Italian origin, Rose McGowan, and it also ended in a wedding. The celebrities were officially engaged for 2 years, but in 2000, they broke up. Marilyn Manson's first official marriage was to burlesque star Dita Von Teese. The wedding was in 2005. The singer lived together with his wife for a little more than a year. The initiator of the breakup was Dita, who in an interview referred to her husband's infidelities and domestic violence. The artist's fans accused the bright brunette of insincerity and PR at the expense of the famous rocker. Manson was in a relationship with actress Evan Rachel Wood. They dated for 4 years. Although with interruptions, they were engaged, but in 2010 the couple again broke off the engagement. As we have already said, the breakup was extremely painful for Manson. During the quarantine, which was announced due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Manson did not waste time, and in 2020 he married photographer Lindsay Usich. The lovers were first spotted by the paparazzi in 2010. The ceremony was held in secret from prying eyes. The girl has already managed to star in the video for the song Don't Chase the Dead from the new album of the group. But the beginning of 2021 wasn't very fun for Marilyn. The 3rd season of the fantasy TV movie American Gods with his participation started. But soon, the producers announced that they would cut the musician from the series. Cooperation was abruptly terminated by the creators of the multi-episode project Creepshow. Following this, The Hollywood Reporter wrote about the next blow to the rocker's career. It was the termination of the contract with the label Loma Vista Records, which recorded Manson's last 2 albums. And the reason for all these misfortunes that befell the celebrity was a statement by former girlfriend Evan Rachel Wood. On February 1, 2021, Evan accused her failed husband of rape and moral harassment. 4 more women followed suit. Marilyn Manson reacted to what was happening on Instagram. Obviously, my art and my life have long been magnets for controversy, but these recent claims about me are horrible distortions of reality. My intimate relationships have always been entirely consensual with like-minded partners. Regardless of how and why, others are now accusing to misrepresent the past that is the truth. The rocker was under round-the-clock security. His family claimed that the allegations of violence shocked Manson, and he was very worried about his safety. And while Marilyn was on a forced vacation, sales of his songs began to break records. Manson's fans firmly believe that people like him do not immortalize society at all, but develop it. Freedom of speech, black humor, bold performances, cost threats, arrests, and misunderstandings. Manson showed that side of the human being that is inherent in everyone, exposing himself to blows like, okay, you insult me, but doing so you also denounce yourself. The game, anyway, goes by my rules. Over the years, the musician became more and more addicted to absinthe and cocaine. He had never been able to understand this world, even though he had learned how it worked. And out of that, there is the share of undisguised indifference. One day, people will understand. And now, the traditional column of interesting facts about our today's hero. Manson's favorite movie is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, released in 1971. Interestingly, his friend, the actor Johnny Depp, played the role of Willy in the 2004 Tim Burton film, and it is rumored that it was Manson who developed the image of Depp in the film together with the costumes. The artist had his own brand of contact lenses called the Marilyn Manson look, Manson owns a large collection of medical prosthesis, artificial limbs, glass eyes, etc. Marilyn Manson is a big fan of the Lost TV series. He even painted a portrait of one of the heroes, John Locke. The artist has supported various charity causes throughout his career. In 2002, he worked with the Make-A-Wish Foundation to collaborate with a fan who was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness. 16-year-old Andrew Baines from Tennessee was invited to the band's recording studio to record backing vocals for the album The Golden Age of Grotesque. Manson has spent his entire career portraying himself as a Satanist and devil worshipper. Not surprisingly, when the founder and high priest of the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey, invited the musician to join his organization, he could not refuse. According to Marilyn Manson himself, he is an atheist, but he listened to LaVey and was ordained an honorary member of the Church of Satan. Well, if you have watched up to this point, then you definitely deserve to participate in the contest. The conditions are terribly simple. Manson sometimes appears in different TV series. You know, many people don't understand Manson. Many people hate him. But he is a person, a strong person. We wouldn't have the courage to alienate the whole world to get our message across like that.
Sweet dreams are made of these.
And very few people would have done it. However, if Manson is considered the king of evil in music, then cinema has its own, the Disney Studio. Nope, this is not a joke. The studio really turned into a bastion of evil. Here's a video for you. Click on it and find out how the corporation has been cashing in on its fans and favorite franchises for many years, turning them into cash cows. You just need to click on the video on the screen. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. This has been The Biographer. Like the video, listen to good music, and see you soon.